This is I think it's a Hasidic melody for sure. Most of you know it. You're welcome to sing along, of course. It's in Yiddish, but I think it touches the chorus. I would like to share with you.
That's beautiful. Thank you very, very much. I'm so touched really by this whole program. To hear Yiddish music in our Boquete library, to hear the story about the Baal Shem Tov, to hear familiar words. I never dreamed that I would hear someone from a podium in a library in Boquete refer to them as Bocha, you know? I mean, it's just, I could die very happy right now. But I won't, because we don't have a Jewish cemetery.
That's one of the
But we might. Anyway, I really, I'd like to entertain some questions, invite the gentlemen to come forward if you have questions. And Robert has offered to show a few minutes of the docudrama, the video about Sousa Mendes. But let's take some questions, Yaakov, Robert, and then those who wish to stay to see 5 or 10 minutes of a video can, and those who wish to partake of our beautiful kosher reception can.
Yeah, we have an hour, right?
Okay.
We have until 5, so I think we're doing okay. Ralph, did you have a question?
My family comes from Denmark, and the Virgin Islands was originally Danish.
Correct, yeah.
And as far as I know, although I'm not personally Jewish, my family, my heritage is Jewish. And I believe one of my ancestors founded the first Caribbean synagogue in St. Thomas or St. Croix. I will, if you're interested, try to see what research I can do to add to this enormous fund of knowledge that you have of Jews in the Caribbean.
I think that would be wonderful.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, so Ralph says that his family were Dutch Jews. And
No, my family is Jewish. I am not Jewish.
He's not. And so, and he understood that one of his ancestors founded the synagogue in the Virgin Islands when it was under Danish reign. And he would be more than willing to do the research to find out more about it, given what we've been talking about relative to the Jewish presence in the Caribbean and St. Thomas. And my response is, absolutely, I would love that, but before you go through that, read the book, The Shifting Sands of Tide. It's available, and I'll tell you how you can order it, because it would be really good to give you an understanding of what there is already done, because that was a doctoral thesis for a young man at Brandeis, and it'll be really elucidating for you to understand that, and maybe it'll tie the knot, as they say, bring together some of the information that you may not know with your own life's experience relative to your family and the founding of the synagogue. So that would be wonderful. And I just, again, he's got Jewish family. He's here. And he's also had experiences during the Second World War relative to his family, as well as he's now publishing books on hummingbirds and birds and I got a review from Barbara, and one of the things I'd love to do again is, this is part of what we do with the book clubs. We connect Jews with other Jews or non-Jews as part of that continuity of Jewish life, Jewish civilization. All right. So one of the things I would like to do again, if you deem so much to invite me back, is to maybe think about what we could do with Ralph being one of those people to discuss his family history as Danish Jews during the Nazi occupation of Denmark, and what the king and all the other Danes did to save all of the Jews of Denmark, if you don't know that story, okay? All right, so, and there's a tree at Yad Vashem dedicated to the king of Denmark, for what he and the Danish people did. But that's an example of finding Jews or descendants of Jews and bringing us closer together as a people, as well as friends. You don't have to be Jewish, as Barbara says, to be part of the experience. And that's what we welcome. Thank you, Ralph. That would be wonderful. Sir.
Going back to the city of David, I've heard that rumor. What is your source that in 1602 this gentleman?
Again, I've done a
Do you
tremendous...
have anything behind it?
What I could do is, I think I know where to find you. So I can refer you back to what I have as my source. I've read a tremendous amount of books, and somewhere in the books, and I can find it, I think this gentleman named Arbel, who wrote one of the seminal books on the Jews in the Caribbean, that may be in his, I think I have it quoted, I use that, but what I'll do is, I can find it, I can capture it, I can then email it to you, and that's as best I can do. And again, just, not everything on the internet is the truth because it's on the internet, but Google his name and certain key words, and there'll be, I'm sure there will be reference to him relative to the naming of David and how David was named, its name, and all of that. But I'll work with you, Mr. Peterson, to make sure that, we're able to put that together.
In the back?
Okay.
I was wondering about the Baru volcano. Would that be a Jewish origin?
Well, Baru, I think, is different from Baruch, and I don't know anything other than it may be just a local, in the local vernacular, the name of it. Right, the Jewish name would be Baruch, but this is Baru. And I just don't know if there is some shorthand or anything. But again, searching the names, and search the roots of names can be of interest, as we do within any genealogical experience. Maybe that's open game, I don't know. Ernesto?
Do you mind me adding you some more info about the name Baru? Baru is actually a native name, it's local.
Okay.
However, Chiriqui means Moon Valley, and in the U.S. and North America, Cherokee, those mean Moon Valley too.
Ah, the Cherokee.
It might be a connection there.
Ah, okay. And Roberto?
There's a historian, Panamanian historian called Alberto Osorio. He's from Chiriqui.
Right.
And he should give you the information.
I
He knows a lot about.
Oh, he's one of the best. It's Alberto Osorio.
Right. That's
And
the
he's
one.
Jeffrey's first cousin.
Right.
Right, and so I know of him. I've not been able to make contact with him, but I'll tell him you sent me, so maybe he'll respond to me, all right? I will connect with him. No, he is very well published and really is an authority. And at one point, didn't identify with the Jewish community, if I understood correctly, and he was going to be a priest. And I think then came back, and again, he's one of the cousins of Jeffrey and his lovely wife, Vera. And so it's, again, knowing the Jewish community in Panama, and we're all 1 or 2 degrees away from each other, and it's been a wonderful experience. But thank you, you're right. He's a really excellent historian on Jewish life, Ralph.
I just had lunch with his brother in Valle Escondido.
Really?
He was a guest of Luis Rios Espinosa.
Okay,
And
I need
Luis-
to learn more
Luis
from you.
Espinosa, or Luis Rios, has read all the books of Osorio and admires him greatly. Luis was going to come here today, but he had so many people visiting him that he sent me as his emissary.
Oh, so you're his personal videographer. That's not bad. so let's, I hope to come back again and connect and continue the discussion or whatever. But thank you, gentlemen. And are there any other questions? What about from my colleague for Yakov?
I would like to, before we adjourn, Robert has offered to show a few minutes of the video about
Susan
Susan
Mendez.
Mendez. You're welcome to stay for that, sure, or if you feel that you want to go ahead and participate in the reception, you're welcome to do that first. I just want to remind you that there were some little cards when you came in, contact cards, and I'd very much like to have your names and telephone numbers and email addresses. And on the back of that card, there are opportunities to check off things that you might be interested in, whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, that you would like to see if we are successful, and I hope we are, in going forward with maybe establishing a Jewish book and film club, maybe getting together for holidays. Even, and it's not such a long shot, but even starting a discussion about a Jewish cemetery to serve the Chiriqui community. It's, there's a saying that, Im tirtzu ezo agara. If you dream it, if you will it, it is not a dream. And I'm pretty interested in seeing that happen.
Okay, great. Let me just quickly, what I wanted to do that I didn't have a chance before is that I have the listing of the movies, of the films that we showed. I think it may be of interest to you because what I've done is I've been able to integrate really a sort of an internal Jewish film festival. Some of them are based on books and some of them freestanding, but there's some that you have never heard of, and these have been award-winning films at Jewish film festivals in the United States. And also, the Disobedience is a professionally developed, produced movie. It's a docudrama. It's about this gentleman, and as a member of the Susan Mendez Foundation, he has now been recognized. There is, and you have the literature out there with my card, as well as the description of the foundation. There are 30,000 recipients or their descendants out there in the world, and we are seeking them out because we want to do the documentation, and there is evidence. What we do is we post them on the foundation website. This docudrama is a way of jogging people's memories because in the fog of war, people didn't realize who gave them the visa in Bordeaux and have lost sight of that. And so what we're really interested in is making sure that people can identify with him, or the people of the descendants who have since gone on. So again, it's doing that, as well as I want to give the film, but I want to give you something to go forward. There is a website, if you want to remember it. The website is Name Your Roots. And if you know somebody again, who believes that they have a Sephardic background, this would be the way for them to find the genesis of their family names. It's called, again, Name Your Roots. Go ahead.
Can we turn off the light?
Can somebody, there's a light panel right behind you in the back. Go ahead, yeah.
I would just like to thank my wife for coming with me.
Right.
Tana, she's over there. Can you stand?
And she's a professional educator. Right. She's done great. And one of the things we were going to go through, we don't have time, is that I put together lists of, again, Jewish institutions in Panama, kosher delicatessens, food shops, synagogues, and all of that. That's a directory that we can always talk about. Quickly, here are the movies that we saw. This is one that is called No Place on Earth, which talks about Jews that lived underground for 3 years during the Second World War in Latvia. It's just fascinating, and the families are now in New York City. And again, I have these movies with me in Panama. And so again, what we do is and they're based, again, Shanghai Ghetto. of again, the Jews that left Nazi Germany and Europe, went by train, and were in Shanghai, in the Jewish ghetto there. Another one is the silent exodus, which is essentially because with the creation of the State of Israel, Jews in Arab countries were expelled for no other reason because they were Jews, because the State of Israel and the anti-Zionism, it became anti-Semitism. So called, half a million Jews were thrown out of Arab countries because of the State of Israel. All right, Anita is a really nostalgic movie about the blowing up of MIA, which was the Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires, and a woman with Down syndrome, whose mother was taking care of her, who was a member of MIA, who is displaced because of the bombing and gets lost in the city of Buenos Aires and eventually is reunited with her family. It brought tears to my eyes. La Raffle is about, again, the French collaborators and the rounding up of Jews at a racetrack in France, and what happens to the Jews as part of a selection process, correct? Okay, it's very famous with Jean Moreau in it and Melanie Laurent. She's Jewish. So again, it's very well known to certain circles. Another one is Nikki's Family. A gentleman just died. He was 104 years old. He was an assimilated Jew, Nicky Winton. He saved hundreds of Jewish children by going into Europe and bringing them out himself. And again, Nicky Winton just died at 104 years old. And again, in the Jewish Chronicle of London that I read, they now have a column where the children he rescued are now writing letters in response to queries as where they are and what was their experience in being saved by him. Another one is called the Harmonicists, which was an integrated German and Jewish choral group that were brothers through the beginning of the war and how they tried to survive, and then when they were divided because of Nazism. Another one is my Mexican Shiva, which is a takeoff of Ilan Stavins' book that I referred to, and this is again an adaptation of his book. Another one is, again, dealing with historical content. The BBC is the Nazis, a warning from history. Auschwitz is another one. And then we have The Pianist, of course, was a commercial. Secrets is about two Jewish women going to a women's yeshiva in Israel and the consequences of their developing a relationship. And we can talk more about that. You know that one. Another one is the one that I'm going to show you now, which is Disobedience. I show this film throughout the United States. I'm a respondent to when we show it. I've shown it here at the Kol Shalit. I'd love to be able to have us show it here in Boquete. It is a movie for Jews and non-Jews alike. It's a story of a Jew, of a man who could have been descendants of Jews. We do not know because Sosa and Mendez are old Sephardic names, but he was a committed Christian, a Catholic. He chose to forfeit his family's future because he did the right thing. He has a tree planted in his memory at Yad Vashem, which is the authoritative center for the study of the Holocaust, and he was given Memorial Israel citizenship way back. Again, we are a nonprofit organization on the board. We do have a fee for it, but it's well worth it if we can sponsor it, and it's good to bring church groups and other civic groups here to talk about it. And so, I'm going to stop with that, and I'm going to play some of the film for you so you can get a flavor of it, and then we can then go and schmooze. Schmooze, you know that word.
Could I just say one thing?
Sure, go ahead, Ralph.
Many of those movies, I'm sure you can find on YouTube.
Oh, sure you can, but the fun is doing it as a group and discussing it. But again, they're available. I'm sure you can get it through Netflix, or you can get it through some other places. But again, the idea is that as part of a group that comes together, we talk about, because we all have a relationship with the Holocaust, one way or another, or family members who maybe survived it or did not. And it really is a talking point as part of our being friends together. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. So this is going to be the beginning of it. Let me try to get us going. It's an hour and 4 minutes. We're not going to see that. I'm just going to give you, as they say in Yiddish, a Vorspeise, which is I'm going to give you a flavor of it, an introduction, okay? So you like Yiddish? I got Yiddish. So anyways, so this is what's called, this is a flavor of it, a Vorspeise, and this is again, and it's done by a French company in French with English subtitles.
Ah, monsieur, le piano, c'est au premier. Et attention à la peinture. Dans l'escalier.
Is that better? Too loud. Yeah. So again, this is Sousa Mendes. He had 14 children. They're here with him at his consulate. I would have the honor of working with 8 of his 14 children over the 30 years that I worked with this story. We just buried his last remaining children of that group up in a hill town in Northern California when I was there in October. This is Sousa Mendes, his wife Angelina.
Je ne peux rien faire pour ce pauvre gens. Enfin, tu peux, on a livré des visas à côté, tu es consul du Portugal. L'Espagne, il y a Saint-Lazare. Il nous impose de me délivrer Cocombo. Ah, je sais. Madame. Vous avez vu le piano, monsieur Savoie? Il est splendide, non? Magnifique. Quand vient l'accord? Cet après-midi, monsieur. Ah. Mais qu'est-ce que c'est? La facture, monsieur. Ah, la facture. Voilà. Vous avez l'air surpris, vous n'aviez pas demandé le prix, monsieur? Non. Mais mon traitement n'a toujours pas été crédité. Si, monsieur, il y a quelques missions. Ah, dans ce cas, il va falloir que je vienne mon frère.
He had a twin brother, Cesar. Here's his children, and they all played a musical instrument. He had a special wagon made for them when they went out and traveled in the countryside. That's the wealth, he was from an aristocratic family. He had everything to lose and nothing to gain by rescuing Jews and others who were undesirables in the eyes of Antonio Salazar.
Je disais donc, composé par Aristide de Sousa Mendes,
And the Z should not be there, it's an S.
lui-même.
And then you see some of the Holocaust imagery while he's playing this.
Monsieur, excusez-moi, c'est un câble de Varsovie, votre frère. Tout va bien. Les bombardements ont miraculeusement épargné l'ambassade. Tu vois, je t'avais dit qu'il fallait pas se faire de soucis.
Une fois père, vous n'en serez bien, vous n'êtes pas devant.
Les jumeaux, c'est comme ça, on sait toujours ce que l'on ressent. On est relié par un fil invisible. C'est plus fort que le câble, plus fort que le téléphone. En tout cas, la Pologne n'existe plus. Le pays a capitulé.
Vous vous rendez compte en quelques jours.
Que va-t-il se passer maintenant?
Oh, ça va être notre tour. La France et ses alliés sont entrés en guerre contre l'Allemagne.
Heureusement, nous sommes à l'abri des lames de magie.
Pour ça, il y a un certain colonel de Gaulle qui dit qu'elle ne sert à rien. Et procurer du pain à ceux qui n'en ont pas.
I'm moving it ahead.
Monsieur le rabbin, c'est...
He's influenced by Rabbi Chaim Kruger, who came to him as thousands of Jews were at his gate, at his office, pleading to get visas. He brings Rabbi Kruger to the office and agrees to give him a visa, and Rabbi Kruger turns him down and says that I'm not worthy of a visa if my fellow Jews cannot get a visa, and essentially counsels him to the point where Sousa Mendes then comes to the conclusion that he has to issue visas, and he does it over a 2-week period between his children's counsel for himself and issuing upwards of 30,000 visas, of whom there are very many celebrated individuals who received it. Here is now, he's under crisis relative, not making a decision yet and doing that.
ton père de signer mon passeport. Ça fait 2 semaines que j'attends.
Ton père ne peut pas grand-chose pour nous.
Mais qui peut quelque chose pour nous alors? Pourquoi nous refuser des visas?
Vous comprenez pas, mon père n'y est pour rien, c'est sa hiérarchie.
Tu croyais que le Portugal était neutre?
Il sait pas.
Again, this is a reference to Circular 14 that forbade his consular corps to issue visas to individuals. And this becomes the famous signature of Sousa Mendes that we look for as a part of the exhibits that we have.
C'est de la folie, monsieur. De la folie. Ce monsieur Kruger ne remplit aucune des conditions requises par la circulaire 14 pour qu'on lui accorde un visa. Nous prenons des risques considérables. Et de toute façon, ça ne sert à rien, ils sont des milliers dehors à attendre. Excellence, je voulais vous dire, je suis très heureux, monsieur le rabbin, de vous annoncer que nous avons réussi à convaincre les autres.
So this is where he makes the decision and tells Kruger that he's going to be issuing the visas.
J'espère que mon environnement des jours meilleurs.
But this is where he says he's not going to accept it.
Je vous ai également préparé une lettre de recommandation pour vos amis qui vous hébergeront à Lisbonne, le temps que vous trouviez un bateau pour l'Amérique. Voilà.
Je tiens à vous remercier du fond du cœur pour votre aide. Oui, nous nous verrons dans une époque meilleure, où les hommes de bonne volonté pourront enfin vivre ensemble. Vous êtes un homme de bonne volonté.
Okay, now he'll leave you hanging to see the rest of it. And, so that's part of the story. Again, would love to be able to bring it here, to sponsor it as maybe the first activity of the Chiriqui Jewish community of Chiriqui, right? The JCC in Chiriqui, all right? And we'll make up special t-shirts for everybody, okay? So anyway, thank you all, and we're here for questions. And again, you get the literature and my card there. Email me. Let me know, again, if you have a group back in the States, or in Canada, or in Europe, that we can show this to and engage people and identify those who are the recipients. You'll be doing a mitzvah. Right, Yaakov? Right, Kana? Good. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for coming and enjoy the reception.
And they wrote the